Hey there, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. As I get sharing my screen, we're grateful for anyone spending some time with us live here today. We know that time is always of the essence, and we are planning a power half hour with you here. So whether you're Eastern time or Central time, you've got three hosts today that are going to be talking to you about what you are probably seeing on your screen, and that is Fearless Beginnings. So yes, it is the webinar series, kind of like the Eras Tour, right? But today's topic is a proven path for women venturing into flexible work. So we are recording this session here. We'll make sure that everyone gets it, whether you attend live, attend for some of it. So I'll just keep my eye on the waiting room, make sure I let people in. Allie on our team here is going to, of course, be handling chat. So feel free to put some questions in there. We like to keep to a schedule, but we're not overly formal, that if you feel you have something you absolutely need to ask right away, either throw that in chat or feel free to take yourself off of mute. So before we talk about us, again, thank you for being here. If this looks like the session that you signed on to attend, well, then we welcome you and we promise you a great use of your time. So let's talk a little bit to anyone here listening, because we talk about Marie. So again, this webinar is hosted by Hey There Social Media. You'll hear from us three here in a moment. But we talk a lot about Marie because Marie is a woman that we've gotten to know very well the last few years. And we also feel like we are Marie. So as you're diving into this webinar or reading a little bit about some of Marie's goals, again, if you are on this webinar, then you clearly heard about this and maybe some of this language really spoke to you. Women are just at a point now where they're saying, well, what does it mean to go out on my own? Or if I want options tomorrow, like, what do I need to do today? So that's a lot of what we're covering here today. And further on in our presentation, we talk about how a lot of us women can really be meticulous planners. And sometimes it's really intimidating to proceed down a path without clarity. So when you think about the things that you want, we want you to feel heard and understood if these are some of your challenges. We're motivated, ambitious women, so we have confidence. We know we're good at things, but we lack a little bit of confidence because we don't see the clear path forward. Another challenge that we hear very often from Marie is, well, I don't want to get stuck, and it really can be terrible to be out on my own and not know where to turn. When you're experiencing that, it can lead to a waste of time, money, and ultimately you say, what if things don't work out? I mean, that is a very stressful place to be. So again, if this all resonates with you, you are certainly in the right place. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing for 1 second, make sure I've got everyone here from, waiting room. Awesome. Okay, now let us introduce ourselves a little bit. Since again, I just promised you a power half hour, we at least want you to be more familiar with who you're hearing from. Again, I'm Emily A. Hay from Hey There Social Media. And Allie is my business partner, so we'll certainly hear from her. And we have Sarah here today too. But quick story on myself, I have about a 10-year plus tenure running my own social media agency. I went out on my own as a social media freelance professional, and it completely opened up my professional path and brought me a lot of evolutions and revenue streams. And so Hey There Social Media added another layer where we now teach women how to do the same. Allie, feel free. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Great. Hi, everybody. My name's Allie Spitzer, and I am the COO and partner at Hey There Social Media with Emily. The bulk of my professional background is in automotive retail, where I manage day-to-day operations across 3 states for about 25 stores and managed a marketing budget, transitioning it to completely social, of about 8 figures a year. And I found myself, as you can imagine, in automotive retail with 0 flexibility and 3 children. And I saw through working with all my marketing vendors the future that there was an opportunity in social media marketing for businesses. And so I kind of come from the client side, but I also have the flexible work necessity that has definitely been the driving force in going further into social media management.
Thanks so much, Allie. And by the way, if you are on this webinar, you may have heard about it from our friend, Sarah Franz. So Sarah, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi guys. So I was a teacher for 5 years. I've been an online teacher for like the past 7 years, and I've been very active on social media, just with my online teaching journey that I was on. And then I found out about UGC, which is user generated content, about 2 years ago. So that's been my main source of income, which has also led into learning more about social media management, as well as a lot of my clients are looking for that also, in addition to content for their social media pages. So yeah, but I'm happy to be here, and it's been exciting to learn more about Hey There social media. And I have my kit right here, so I've been going through that, but yeah, it's been awesome.
Amazing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Sarah. And if you head to Sarah's Instagram, you'll see Sarah and I went live the other night. We did some teaching about different ways to create content. And obviously, Sarah talked about being a UGC creator. Today, we're covering a bit about being a social media manager. So feel free to check that out. But again, if you are here because you heard of us from Sarah, we thank you. And we're going to bring some value in from Sarah today, too. So, okay, let's talk through this agenda. We're going to kick this off, just bring you up to speed. What is going on in 2024 when it comes to flexible work and just the industry in general? Like, where is the demand? Where can you be keeping your eyes open for flexible opportunities? With a fearless beginning, you have to have credibility. So we all have credibility. We all have expertise and experience, but how to gain even more credibility? We'll give you some action steps there. Thriving in community. I feel like if there's one word we hear so much in 2024 because of this virtual world we live in, community, online communities, gathering in community, but there are steps you can take to thrive in the community. You don't want to necessarily just be passive and just say, well, this community isn't doing much for me. So we will give you steps on how to thrive. And then this other point about how to connect yourself with success. It's not the same to just say how to be successful. We want you to plug in to a successful system that's already running, and for you to be able to merge in and leverage that success that's happening. So we will tell you how you can connect yourself with success. And of course, we'll leave you with some next steps. So without further ado, Allie, I'm going to bounce this your way just as we talk a little bit about some industry trends and the flexible work industry.
Yes. So just a few trends that are really we're seeing moving right now in 2024 when it comes to general marketing trends that specifically are mostly in the digital space. One thing that is really a key is that cookies essentially are going away. Now, it's been happening for several years, but this year, Google, who accounts for about 80% of search, is officially actively moving towards removing cookies, which really means that that little shopping cart that follows you around from place to place that you go forever until you purchase, that third-party data will no longer be as powerful for marketers to rely on, which means that first-party data, that one-to-one connection with your consumers as a business, will be even more important than it has been in the past. The next trend, AI, is really something that we've tried to demystify for our community, and really showing that the trend is AI is the perfect match made in heaven with social media management, because it affords social media managers the visibility that the huge big data AI uses lends. But really still the bottom line is the human touch and connection in partnership with the data that we get from AI really catapults social media managers into a much more sophisticated space. The last key takeaway from that is that social media is actually being used more and more as a search engine. So content, keywords are even more critical, as 40% of Gen Z is using their current platforms that they're in all day long to search just like they would in Google. So all of these trends point to a very low risk, sound decision to have a career that you go further into social media management. Companies, as we see it, they're seeing the value of social media and that positive impact that it's having on brand loyalty. The fact that 76% of consumers are browsing and purchasing items via social media without cookies, that reduces about a third of the consumption that and revenue really that companies are seeing. So they do need to focus their efforts towards that first party data connection to be able to keep that consumption up in the absence of cookies. Another thing that's really a win-win is that there's so much opportunity for businesses to do a better job in social media marketing, and that that demand is only going to increase. And the fact that women drive 70 to 80% of all purchasing either decisions or influencing decisions that are made, it positions women in social media management to even be that much more valuable. And then moving on to how this work is done. As you can see, Emily and I wrote a Fast Company article where we say, yes, freelance is obviously mainstream now. We're seeing more and more of it. By 2028, over half of the US population workforce in the US is going to be working freelance in some capacity. Most people who choose freelance are doing it because they desire to have more independence, more control over their careers as businesses kind of flounder, adapting to the changing world, and also just to be able to be their own boss, call the shots, just make decisions on which clients they work with. And in return, 80% of US companies are looking to increase their dependency on a flexible workforce. What we have found through our work in the freelance space is that there are lots of ways to get it wrong. And as long as you have a framework and have an idea or a better picture from experienced professionals in the space, you will be able to increase your chances for success. One huge way is to make sure that you have a specialty, having a niche in this ocean of freelancers is critical for people to be able to find you. There are ways to prevent any of the avoidable mistakes that 1 in 5 freelancers make within their first year. And we also go through that in our article. And the importance of making sure that you stay current and stay relevant by upskilling, which we'll get into a little bit later, is also another way to mitigate your risk.
Thanks, Sally. Yeah, again, I'm just seeing that key takeaway that a sound industry to get into, digital marketing, specifically social media marketing, and then freelance being that method of work. So again, as we talk about fearless beginnings into proven flexible work, freelance is a method of that flexible work. Okay, let's talk about gaining some credibility. So like I said, you already have tremendous skills. You already have unique abilities, and you have things that you pull from your own talent and maybe your professional experience. So this is something when we talk to Marie, when we talk to women in our community, women that have gone through our Hey There training, we see a lot of women saying, well, I am really creative, but what do I do with that? So when we say, are you a creative person? I mean, does that mean visually? Like, do you like to put together visual creations, whether that's through a tool like Canva, or are you just someone who can kind of take a big idea and break it down visually? Storytelling is such a popular word in marketing and content creation, but at the end of the day, people don't buy from businesses, they buy from other people. So when you can tell a story and pull people into a brand, that's a huge talent and a great way to use your creative skills. Writing, we get a lot of women say like, well, sure, I love writing. I mean, it might not be a full published author or long form content, but you can really exercise those creative muscles with doing written content for social media. So very transferable. We talk about being social media savvy. So again, if you're on this webinar, then you heard about it from social media. So you are social media savvy. You have a working knowledge, we call it a working knowledge of social media. It doesn't mean that you have to know everything and every bell and whistle on every single social network at all times of the day. If you're someone who, like I said, is social media savvy, that's you can build upon that. I was going to say build uponable skill there. Connecting with others, whether you're connecting, we love IRL, some good in real life connection, but so much of our work, like we said, is all through virtual. So if you can connect people together, that skill and that ability can be honed and can be put to great use for businesses. This other part I talked about, we all like to be, I shouldn't say we all, many, many women that we talk to really enjoy being clear and having a plan to follow. So if that's a talent that you bring to your own life, and maybe that's something you've done in the past with project management, maybe you have, communications and strategy and consulting experience, that all goes directly into working in a social media marketing field for businesses. Don't brush off customer service or even sales experience, because again, if I'm writing an Instagram post for a business and I bring a customer service and sales background, I'm going to put a really great spin on that post to make it essentially drum up business and leads for that client. So taking these skills, and if you have these unique abilities, how can you amplify them? So we use the word upskilling. Upskilling is a very, very popular word in 2024, but it has been for the past couple of years because it's gaining more importance. And we'll tell you why. So off to the right, you're looking at just a straight up definition. What do we mean by upskilling? So anytime you're gaining additional skills or expanding on what you already have, that is upskilling. So you can upskill in a number of ways. You can watch some YouTube videos, you can take a program, you can go through a certification. There are not a lack of options to upskill, but there's definitely a difference between one program over another. And one of the main differences is that a lot of businesses will say, we would love to see some credentials. We just want to see, like, these are some verifiable skills. Great that you're self-taught, through some YouTube videos, but we want to see that this person has learned from a business that knows what they're doing and has issued some sort of proof of completion, essentially. Allie, do you want to talk a little bit about some of the productivity factors of upskilling?
Sure. So a lot of the women that do end up enrolling in our training programs and belong to our community already have some sort of background within managing their whether it's projects or within social media. What we found is that upskilling really can help you identify places that you could be more efficient and ways that perhaps not you have reinvented the wheel and you didn't necessarily need to, and there could be more ways to find time using your time in a more productive manner. It also really broadens the amount of opportunities that you would be available to, especially with the credentials. If you have that as part of your profile online, it's definitely leading you to other potential companies or clients that maybe wouldn't have originally found you in the past. And if you're in a current role and looking to upskill, as half the population will need to do over the next couple of years, it will further solidify your ability in your job to stay current and stay relevant to the needs of the company that you're currently working for, or other companies that will need those skills more and more moving forward.
Thanks, Allie. And again, social media is such a natural place to upskill, right? You have some basic savviness, but adding some additional upskills will allow you to really take those personal skills and be able to go further for a business, like metrics and social media ads, for example. Okay, let's talk a little bit about some evolution, some paths forward. Again, storytelling and learning by seeing what other women have done. So you are looking right now at a slide of a woman in our community named Kimberly Herman. And she is someone who, of course, she has her quote here talking about being a stay-at-home mom, but she's someone who has gone through our program. She upskilled without a completely clear picture of what she was going to do with this specialty. So, she talks about being a stay-at-home mom for a decade, and she was brand new to this. It says right here, 9 months in. Well, on the bottom left, you can see that Kimberly picked up her social media manager specialty. So she had a very clear focus on what she was going to deliver for clients. So some of those services as a social media manager, we won't get too far into the weeds, but creating content. I mentioned social media ads. I mentioned social media metrics, running influencer campaigns for a business. Even community management is a specialty of a social media manager. So Kimberly learned these skills and then started doing this for clients. You can see that she broadened into digital marketing. So what I mean by that is Kimberly literally had a client that still has the client today, that is a professional organizer. And this woman said, well, I also have some email marketing and I also have my website that needs managed. And oh, by the way, I have a podcast. So what ended up happening was that Kimberly kept adding more services to her specialty, and naturally that led to more revenue on her plate. And there's that adage about it's much harder to get a new client than to keep an existing. Well, the smart and wise thing that Kimberly did was that she got wider and deeper into a current client account rather than just having to go continue to find new work and only do small amounts of work for those clients. And then where it led her to not only taking on more digital marketing work for that client, she's a podcast producer now. So Kimberly not only produces her client's podcast, Kimberly has gone into producing other podcast hosts' podcasts and doing their social media. So it is literally an evolution of a self-proclaimed stay-at-home mom. She had a background as a dental hygienist and just said, I'm willing to learn and I can tweak as I go and I'll figure things out. I might not know exactly what this looks like at the end. And I'd be willing to bet if we ask Kimberly today, who is still a member of our community, if she saw her journey leading to where it is today, I have a strong feeling she'd say not at all. All right, let's talk a little about Nicole. So Nicole is another woman who really gained credibility by upskilling. So she had this consulting and professional services background. Incredibly capable woman, decorated career in corporate America, stayed home with her kids for a while and said, I'm at this crossroads. So went into upskilling in social media. And so what Nicole did, similar to Kimberly, she decided to take on some social media manager clients. So writing the posts, publishing the posts, managing the community, doing the metrics, etc. And from there, she realized, well, what I really like doing is giving the advice to businesses. I might not be the one implementing everything, but I can consult and I can do strategy. So she evolved into adding that. And then her latest step forward was, well, not only do I know how to do the work and advise on how to do the work, I can manage the work. So Nicole's journey has led her into account management as well. And here's her name right there. We have her LinkedIn profile screenshotted on the right there. Take a look at the things that are in Nicole's journey. I feel like we are at a point where we can embrace the non-linear career path, right? I mean, it's not always straight up and to the right. So just seeing that if you connect the dots, you will move forward. But again, if we ask Nicole today, do you see where you would have been when you first started? Pretty confident she'd say not at all. All right, let's move next into thriving in community. So like we said, very popular word in 2024. And, Allie and I want to make sure that you really see that community is not a passive thing. It is a noun, right? But being a part of a community is an active sport. So we have some tips here, some ways that you can win as a member of a community. And so again, the point of today, fearless beginnings. Well, things are less scary when you have others to go with. So part of our advice for you is when you want to follow a path into a flexible work journey, be aware of the people you surround yourself with. And so, I mean, the Hey There social media community is one that is made up of women like Nicole and like Kimberly and Sarah too. And so we really advise that you take these steps here. First and foremost, we want you to lean on your mentors. Allie, gosh, what's that stat? How many women don't even get started because
it's about 48% of women who want to move ahead but don't see anybody in their sphere doing what they'd like to do.
So there you go. I mean, I think mentors, having a mentor, being mentored is always a bit of a tricky subject for women. Who the heck knows why? Is it just easier for men? Who knows? But as women, needing to not only see others that have gone where you want to go, but being able to get direct coaching and feedback from them. So that's something that Allie and I mean, I know we talked about our background, and even women like Sarah that are just a member of this community pour into one another and bring our own experiences to each other so that everyone can learn faster. We love to recommend showing up for yourself. So whether they're virtual or in person, events, things where you are networking, you are convening, to just take a minute and listen. Like, let me hear what someone else is working on today. What deadlines does someone else have? You have a proposal due? Okay, cool. How did you get that proposal opportunity? How did you meet that prospect? Just listening, like what is going on in someone else's world is so useful. And even though you might not have a question that day and say, I don't need to go to this networking event, or I already know what they're talking about in that presentation, you will always get something out of it. And that is showing up for yourself. Additionally, you'll come across other upskilling opportunities. So I talked about they don't always look one way. And so, you'll hear sharpen the saw, continuing to sharpen your saw, keep your skills fresh and updated, and just constantly learning is showing up for yourself. Allie, cover a little bit about this ungoogleable insight.
Yes, so the conversations that we experience within the four walls of our community are really trusted responses and experiences in a private setting that if you go and try and search for them online without that connection, you're not going to be able to find really what you're looking for, which is knowledge based on experience from women that are like-minded or in a similar position as you.
Thank you. Yes, I love that point. Hard work will pay off. So I gave a talk not too long ago just about we women who are really busy, and you have an opportunity to do something and you ask yourself, well, will it be worth it? Well, it will. You will always get something out of taking action. So any of this that we're advising is hard work that will pay off. You might not know exactly what it looks like. It might not be 1 hour into event equals 2 hours of exceptional, knowledge now. It's not that linear, but it will pay off. And we give you the bonus that it will get noticed. Not only will it get noticed by your mentors, but it gets noticed by your peers. And so what does that do? It keeps you top of mind. And then when someone sees on LinkedIn, oh, I found someone who's looking for a podcast producer. Well, if Kimberly's put in the time and has played the active sport of community, she's going to be on top of mind for one of her peers to recommend. So it all goes around. But we just want you to see that these steps are not difficult. It's just being aware and being willing to, like we said, take those steps.
And bottom line really about community is it's one-stop shop for a lot of advice I'm sure you've probably heard is to be successful, say yes more often, and also network, which creates serendipity on purpose. The more chances and conversations you have, the more it will yield.
I love that, Allie. So again, thriving in community. So if we just gave you that macro view of a community and like going in with your game plan, this is the zoomed in view of a couple of transformations that have happened right within our community at Hey There. So this is a text heavy slide as you're kind of giving a little glance. So you're meeting 3 women that had 3 different backgrounds. They did all upskill through the Hey There social media program. Some of them, as you can see, Sansari on the left here, she used this as a launch pad. Getting into a freelance position is really what closed her career gap and allowed her to, again, learn a whole new skill set. And then someone like Layla, she already had a PR background and used this as an enhancement. A lot of clients were saying, well, besides traditional media, can you also do my social? So she used this as a way to add on and enhance. And then you can see Kelly on the right here, who has had quite a entrepreneurial background in addition to a teaching background. So she's someone who really used social media as a way to, of course, bring in some additional income streams. But Kelly's someone who is a lifelong learner and has brought a lot of her teaching experience to some of her client work. So we'd love to share the longer version of any of these stories here. Sarah, I know you are busy over there with a little one. If you want to hop on at any moment, we'd love to hear a little bit more about your evolution. And then we'll hop next to connecting yourself with success. Okay. So one of the things we love remembering, any fans here, anyone love the show Friends? Allie, I feel like you're a huge fan
of
over
course,
there.
yeah.
So does anyone remember the episode where Rachel turns 30? And when she turns 30, she says, these are some things I wanted to have done by the time I was 30. So shoot, I better make a plan in order to get where I want to go. And so she starts with this plan and has to back into it. So if you're someone who is willing to work the plan, but maybe you just need the plan, this screenshot is your plan. So what we have here, it's what we call, the social media success framework at Hey There. Off to the left and right, you've got your start and you've got your beyond. So we'll talk about all the above. First of all, with the in-demand services, starting with in-demand services, what we mean by that is when you are beginning a flexible work journey, you should have your checklist of very in-demand services. So we know that social media is one of them, and we know that under social media, there's specialties from content creation to community management to influencer campaigns, etc. But you got to start by at least knowing what the services are. So that's where you start. Then these are the 3 steps that are part of the success framework. So you're going to need to do 2 things. You're going to need to learn how to deliver the services. And again, if you are a social media savvy person, you probably know how to already, create a post and publish a reel. But there's more to that, how to deliver them optimally, like strategizing content, grabbing metrics, showing what your content is doing. So we talk about learning how to deliver the services. But even if you know how to deliver services perfectly, even if you know how to do anything perfectly, if you can't sell your services, if you can't land the work, it doesn't matter how perfect or how good you are at doing something. I mean, think of a baker. They could make the absolute best wedding cake in the world, but if they can't go out and get people to buy the cakes, then it's a useless skill. So that's why we have both of these in the step 1 of learning how to deliver the services optimally and learning how to sell them optimally. And that means, you as a freelance professional getting the work. The second step, so once you've done all that, you need to do the work. Okay, Emily. Okay, Ellie, like I'm brand new at this. How do I do the work? Well, part of our program, part of our success plan is that you need to do a portfolio project. So to demystify a portfolio project, it can be anything from working with a small client to working with a client as complete practice. It can be a client that you don't know from Adam, but you meet with them, you learn their needs, you deliver a proposal. Or it can be, you know what, my sister is a realtor and I'm going to practice on her business. So that way I have a portfolio project. So we have a lot of tips and insight into not only what a portfolio looks like, but how to get that portfolio project going. But please know it is absolutely part of your success framework, doing that work. The third step, once you do that work, I'm not kidding, your confidence is going to just shoot through the roof because it's not scary anymore. You have done the work. You have taken the abstract that you've learned and you have made it tangible and you've applied it and you have proof of what you've done. And so then the step is to go get other clients. We say fill your roster with clients and projects, and that can happen a lot faster than you might even realize. So once you have, I think about, again, someone like Kimberly who did a portfolio project for a small startup. And then before she knew it, she was off to finding, like I said, that professional organizer client and then adding all the other services to her work. So those are the 3 steps that part of, like we said, that's our plan. You just work the plan. And then the beyond, on the far right there, the beyond is when we see women that have upskilled in social media really start to refine what they want to offer, specialize. Maybe I specialize in social media for medical practices or podcast hosts. And then you can expand from there. You can say, well, I've done this enough and now I want to only, work as a consultant or step into a different role. So that was a lot, I know, on one slide. Allie, anything to clarify or add context to?
No, I think, getting in, knowing and having that peace of mind that there's a framework out there that you could follow. It really helps your mental, state a lot.
For sure. Removing the scaries because you'll work the plan. You just need the plan. Okay. Another thing about connecting yourself with success. So naturally, how much can I make? What does earning in this field look like? How do I begin to wrap my head around my potential? So we do get that question a lot. What is the earning potential? Or how do I begin to figure out what to charge for this? So we're going to save you a lot of heartburn, and we would love for you to snag our free earning guide. So I probably can put the link here on the site, but we'll actually, you know what we'll do? We'll make sure to send it out with the recording. So it's our website. It's heytheresocialmedia.com/earning guide. So if you want to go there, you can download that. It's a multi-page document that's going to, as we say, shell the nuts for you and start to show you different types of social media projects, what you could charge for each, how you could start to shuffle and build your roster with those projects so that you can start to calculate and do the math of what you can earn doing this work.
And it's also in the chat.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Allie. Longest story short, again, you're a freelance professional. If you are working as a social media manager after upskilling through a program like ours, then you are a freelance professional. So yes, you are an entrepreneur and the sky's the limit for what you choose to earn. We have some numbers here to just show you. We talk about retainers versus hourly, but we just want to start to put some numbers to paper for you. Again, the earning guide will go into a lot more detail. But as you can see, social media managers, not only will compensation vary, but it's more, you know, you might have more clients at some times of your year and less clients at others. So it can all vary, but we'd love for you to grab that guide.
And just noting that the flexibility also is not just about your hours, but the amount of work that you would like to take on based on your, you know, current schedule outside of work. If you're busier during the summer, you can, you know, strategize to take less during the summer, etc.
I love that point, especially with fearless beginnings. You know, you're just getting started at this, making sure that you see that this is not, okay, once I jump off the cliff, I'm going to be up to my gills in work all the time. It can definitely ramp up and ramp down based on your lifestyle. Okay, so we're going to wrap up here. I'm watching our time and we're going to give you some next steps. So everything that we've talked about today is possible on our proven path if we're talking about social media management. And so the next two slides are the two primary ways that Hey There is giving women like you a proven path into this field. So this very busy slide that you see is what we call core training. So Hey There Social Media has a core training program, and this wheel or this pie that you're seeing, each one of these pieces represents something that we teach you on, so a module. So this program will give you the high level view. It's a 6-week program that women can take flexibly. We teach through Zoom. We provide recordings if you can't make the Zooms, but this is the program that will cover really two things. In the coral colors, you'll see freelance related topics. So everything from prospecting, onboarding your clients, how to build your credibility through a portfolio project, and so on. Those are the freelance areas that we teach you. And then in the turquoise, you'll see more of the social media specialty. So that's where you're going to go, okay, I can upskill, you know, my content creation. I can learn more about community building and community management, social media metrics. And I want to be able to show my freelance clients that what I'm doing is really moving the needle for their business. So again, it is a 6-week program. It is flexible. We call it core training, like I said, and Sarah, we have a promo code with Sarah that, as you can see, the tuition is $2,997. And with Sarah's promo code, you'll get $250 off of that. So you're looking at this tuition cost right here, and you can absolutely do a payment plan. We have a lending partner, whatever might work for you. We would love to talk with you more about this if this is something that you're considering, but I would like to point out that it's not just the training. We include 3 months of our supportive community in the program, because we joke that the day your training ends with us is really your first day as part of the Hey There community. And so we include 3 months where you don't even have the option to pay for the additional support. It is just included so that we can help manage you through your portfolio project. We can answer your questions when you start to look for your first clients. So these, again, it's a lot of detail on the right. But this is our signature program that Hey There has been delivering for a number of years. And with that, we have a self-paced option. The next option here is Core Training Lite. So actually, I have these with me right here. So this is something that Sarah talked about. You know, this is Core Training Lite. It is a shippable upskilling in a box program that we provide Sarah, if you have a quick minute, if you're able to hop off mute, we'd love to hear from you
Mhm.
about it.
I'm here. When you said my name earlier, had been fine up until that point, and
Oh,
he started. I'm like, are you kidding me? So, anyways, sorry about
it's
that,
life.
Sarah.
It's life.
But yes, I have mine right here. I was actually just kind of going through it and looking at, because one of my clients is wondering about influencer campaigns, and I had even asked you about it, and I was able to find it easily in the index, and so I was just kind of looking over that while we were sitting here. I was like, okay, 'cause that's something I'm trying to figure out. So I love that it's just a great resource that I can always have to go back and look at, and everything's just right there.
Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. Well, we hold your opinion very high, especially having a educator background and, curriculum. We do get good feedback about how organized the content is, because again, this feels like a really overwhelming thing to get into.
Mhm.
But, people like Sarah, that she's already social media savvy, is already dabbling in doing social media management in addition to UGC. So what we see is, again, it's a self-paced version. Sarah just held up the manual. Go through it, highlight it. We have a lot of gals say,
Mhm.
like, do you have the hard copy of this?
Mhm.
But as soon as you hit a wall and you have a question, you also come to our community with that. So I do have Sarah's promo code here. This program is $397, and you're going to get your 20% off and your free shipping. And we literally will ship it right to your house. So that's where you can use Sarah's code. As we wrap up here, we want to point this out too. So I feel like, when we live in an era where you can literally Google anything, you can get all the facts you would possibly want. So I think we confuse knowledge with wisdom. This is not my quote, but knowledge is having the facts. So research all you want, grab all the facts you need, make your lists outweigh, this fact versus that fact. But at some point, wisdom has to kick in. And so you have the facts, but you have to know what to do with what you have. So Allie, I know I think you've thought deeply about this too, right?
Mhm.
Anything to add about wisdom?
Yeah, I think just being, a woman who is career driven and also needing the balance, I found myself in this, situation where I had two conflicting ideas in my mind or beliefs in my mind. And really what allows you to proceed with wisdom is to be able to take those two conflicting ideas, which was need to stay on my current trajectory. I know that means sacrificing my personal life and not seeing my children grow up, but what's the other option? I know there's something else out there. I know there's something better out there. These two conflicting things that were going on in my mind, and being able to fill in the blank with my experiences, good judgment, and having more knowledge about what was available to me allowed me to proceed and make a decision down a different path.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks, Allie. So we want to support you. So what you're looking at here is we're just giving you 3 quick steps. So of course, we would love for you to head to our website. This QR code is going to take you right to our site. In fact, it will take you to the page with our core training Lite. That is the box that Sarah and Allie and I were just talking about. But our site, as you can see, it's heytheresocialmedia.com. You can join our community. So yes, our community is primarily made up of women that have gone through our program, but you do not have to go through our program. We talk about our community being for social media managers, whether you are aspiring or experienced. So there is a free level. You can hop in the community by going to heytheresocialmedia.com/memberships. And we will push you into practicing some of those steps in community, attending events, engaging with one another, leaning on your mentors. So that's all there for you in the Hey There community. And like we
Good old
said,
accountability.
absolutely. And then as for scheduling a call, if you're going through this in your head, you're thinking about your own skills, but you want to talk out your situation more, there's a Calendly link right at the bottom of our website in the footer. It says schedule a call. So schedule that call. It'll be with Allie or myself. We can't wait to hear from you and make the time for you. So Sarah, I have your beautiful link off to the right, a screenshot from your Instagram. Thank you so much for talking to people about our webinar. For having a link to the training that we offer along with your discount code. You are also such a great peer and mentor to women in the community. So thank you for all that you're doing. And anything else to add before we close?
Thank you for the time. We hope to see you in
Yeah,
the
thank you.
community.
Thank you so
Thank you so
much
much,
for
Sarah.
putting this together. And love all the information that you shared, that you both shared.
Well, thank you. Well, there's
Thank
always
you.
more learning to do, and we appreciate everyone's time. We'll make sure to get the recording out soon.
Awesome.
Okay. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Thanks.